Oh, hey, I'm hacking my way into the pirate graveyard. I'm going to tell you a ghost story about a pirate. Smith Island Ghost Stories. Phew, something to get here. Phew. Okay, we got through here. Phew. Okay, let me tell you the story. Hey, how y'all doing? I've come here to the Rogues Point Cemetery. You have to fight to get in here. Everybody's dying to get here. So I want to tell you a story about a pirate named Bogs. Bogs the pirate. Bogs, let's see what his last name was, I forgot. Lamont. He was French. He was from the Caribbean. He was one of Joseph Whalen's pirates aboard of his ships. He was real good friends with Marmaduke. We think he was probably Marmaduke's crew, but they went with Joseph Wyatt. When Joseph Wyatt had to leave the bay, Bartholomew decided to stay. Well, he didn't have really nowhere to go, but one of his friends, his name was Messick. He was a pirate too, and he went and stayed with this man named Messick. And Messick got older. Bartholomew was a young man. He was only in his late 20s, early 30s. But Messick, he was an older man. He was in his 60s when Bartholomew came to live with him. So after a while, Messick, he died. Charlie Messick, he died, and Bartholomew wasn't allowed to own the property. He had one daughter, this Messick feller, who had moved to Baltimore to open a dress shop. And they sent word to her that her father had died. Well, it was some kind of conflict between them, and she never come back to the island for the funeral or anything. And she told the people who had contacted her to let Bartholomew have the house. It was up to a place it was Pirate Point back then, but now it's called Planter's Point. They changed all the names in the early 1900s. So he lived in Planter's Point, and he grew watermelons. Had a lot of watermelons, had a big patch of watermelons, and every year he'd go sell his watermelons. Well, they said he had some treasure hid that he'd got from piracy, and every year he'd go get a piece or two of this treasure to help him get through the year. He'd sell these watermelons, and then he'd go get this piece of treasure there, and everybody knew it. And there was one feller who he was a skipjack. He was a boat captain. He weren't skipjack. He was a lumber. They carried lumber up and down the bay. Well, he wanted Bartholomew to go with him as crew, but he was a real mean man. He'd kidnap people and shanghaied them up in Baltimore and jived the boom on them and knocked them overboard and all kind of stuff to them. Awful man. Well, Bartholomew knew it. He knew he was not a good man. And he said, well, my watermelons ain't come in yet. I can't go with you. And the man said, oh, hell with them damn watermelons. I want you on my boat. I want you to be my crew. What it was, this man, he couldn't stand to see this black man have a good life. It was killing him. He wanted him to be a slave on his ship. So he got in his mind some night, just before he left to take this load of lumber down to Richmond, that he was going to kidnap Bartholomew. And so he went there one night to kidnap him. Well, it was dark and they're just up a gut, and Bartholomew heard people coming up his lane. So he walked in the backyard and listened, and he could hear them talking. He said, okay, it was two or three of them, but this Charlie Messick, he was the main one. And he went around the back of the house. He sent somebody in the back of the house to watch him, see if he'd come out the back way. Well, Bartholomew Bogs, he'd already come out. He was up back there and heard it all. So he took off running down this ditch bank road. Well, this ditch bank road had a small turn to one side and a straight the other way. Well, he accidentally weren't paying attention in the dark and went down this crooked road. But this crooked road went across where it used to be a little bridge, but the bridge was gone, and the muskrats had eat all the land away, and it's called tater heads. So when he got there, he running full force, he hit these tater heads and plunk down through these tater heads, and they said his arms went beside him, and he couldn't get himself out. So the tide come up and he drowned there. Well, everybody wondered where Bogs was. Where's Bogs? And this Charlie Messick had already gone up bay. Nobody can ask him. So this little girl and her mother was coming down this ditch bank road, and this little child kept saying, Bogs, Bogs, Bogs. Every day they had to go by this one place. And everybody just thought she was remembering the old man. And one day somebody come by and they smelled something. I said, what the devil's that smell? It smells like something died here. Well, they looked over in the marsh, and there was his head sticking up out of the marsh, just a skull sticking up, and the woman went, oh my God, it's Bogs. And later on, they said they could hear him of a night when it was real quiet in that marsh, just screaming, hollering for help, help me, help me. And they say if you're ever up that way around Boggs' Cove, if you hear somebody say, help me, you better get out of there right away. That's what I was told. Then there's another one. Let me see. What was the one I was going to tell you, the other one? Oh, the woman with her head cut off. Woman with her head cut off was over by the hill. And John Henry Smith had a tobacco farm over there. And he raised tobacco and hogs and cows. And he had servants. Well, this one servant wouldn't do what he wanted to do. He wanted to have his way with her, and she wouldn't let him. And he tried to physically attack her, and she got away from him and run way down this field to a tobacco barn. And when he chased after her and he caught her there at the edge of this barn, well, these barns had these louver doors, and they would open up to let the air come through to dry the tobacco. And when he run, and she was lifting up this louver door to get inside the tobacco barn, hoping he didn't see her, but he did see her. And he come up behind her and he slammed it real hard, and it cut her head right off. And they said that when you're on a night up there around over the hill, that waterworks, they said you better watch out. If you'll see the head woman with no head walking around there. I heard one fella rode by there on a motorcycle and seen it, and got off the motorcycle and took off running. And, so every now and then, people will say they seen something over there by the hill waterworks, over the hill. And then there's one my grandpa used to tell me. He said it was about a little man they find on the beach. His name was Big Eyes. They called him Big Eyes because he had these great big eyes. And they didn't know what he was. He wasn't a human. They said we're gonna kill him. We're gonna kill him. Well, this old preacher and his wife said, no, it's a sin. Even though he's not human, we can't kill him. And so this old lady seen it, and she wanted to take care of him. She didn't have no people in her life now, so she wanted to take care of him. She took him home and took care of him. Well, he couldn't talk or speak or anything, and she looked out for him for years. And there was this bunch of people in the church. They didn't like it. They thought he was a demon. Thought they wanted to kill him. And they tried to get him one night. Well, when they came over to get him, he had something in his hand, and it froze them. They all froze solid, just stood there, froze solid, couldn't even move. And the woman pleaded with him to let him go, to let him go, and he let him go, and they ran away. They knew something weren't right. They just ran out of there. So they came back with guns. They were going to get him and kill him regardless. Big Eyes. But she seen it coming, and she'd gotten a skiff and started paddling away from there over to the other creek. And going through this other little creek, the boat flipped over, and she drowned it, and Big Eyes drowned it too. Or they never find Big Eyes, but they find her. And they said when you go through this gut down here by Hog Neck, Shanks Creek, they said if you hear somebody crying like a little baby, you better keep going and you better run quick. You better just not stop at all. So that was a couple of stories they used to tell me when I was a little kid. And Papa, he'd sit there and he'd take his hand by the thing and go, and he'd knock on the wood real hard. Oh, there's Big Eyes. He's gonna come get you. You better be good. Better be good. He's gonna come get you. And I'd sit up and go, whoa, Big Eyes. No, don't let him get me, Papa. And I'd go run over to Papa, and he'd laugh, and he'd hold me in his arms. And my mom go, stop telling him that. You're scaring him to death. He's going to be scared to death tonight. And Papa, he loved it. He just would laugh and laugh, telling me these old ghost stories. So that's where I'm at. Hey, Marmaduke. Marmaduke's with me today. He gets to come out once a year, Halloween. It's alright. It's alright. Alrighty. Take her easy. Bye-bye.